folks. Many of you know this already, and some think they know it, but they've got the wrong bad guys. Either way, America's in some big-ass trouble. And I know why. A lot of other people know why, but not nearly enough. 57 million people, who I call ignorant liberal airheads, voted to put a thieving neo-communist, shameless liar into the presidency, and that means there's some deep, dark problems and some serious power going on to convince those otherwise probably fairly decent people to vote for that man. At any rate, 5 reasons why the cowards, liberal, oftentimes in the GOP, should reject any Barack Obama Supreme Court nominee. Number 1, because the Republicans are cowards and oftentimes liberal. Because of those two factors combined, they do not have it in their heart to fight a Barack Obama Supreme Court nominee who is liberal or what some would call moderate. And moderates are either ignorant and they don't know what side they stand on, or they're liberals and they're liars. There are no moderates. There's no reason for there to be a moderate. You have evil against normal humans, and there's no reason to be moderate in that battle. And anybody who calls himself a moderate is generally, like I said, either ignorant or a liar. But because the Republicans, the majority of them, and I could explain how the majority of the GOP got to be liberal, but it'd just take too much time, so I'm not going to go there right now. Most who actually take the time to learn and listen to videos already understand that the GOP has been overcome by liberals anyway, which explains the advent of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, who combined are getting more than 70% of the votes right now. Neither one of them are embraced by the Republican Party or the media. Number 1, because the Republicans are cowards and liberal phonies. They don't have it in their heart to oppose properly and with understanding that they could take to the people and explain it to them, like I'm explaining it, in a decent way, why any Barack Obama nominee should be rejected. And we'll get to these specific reasons as we go down this list. Now we're hitting number 2. Number 2, Obama is a shameless liar. He is. If you don't know that, then shame on you for not figuring it out and for being so gullible or ignorant. It's your fault. You didn't start this problem. It was started by the media and the schools and the Democratic Party, but you're to blame for not figuring it out. Let me stop on that one for now. Obama violates his oath of office, and he has been for the entire almost 8 years that he's been in office. You're supposed to uphold the Constitution. He's never even bothered to try. He's also a criminal. Yes, Barack Obama is a criminal. How is he a criminal? Using the IRS as a weapon to go against your enemies. As we heard from Ben Carson, for example, who was audited as soon as he spoke out against the president regime, and many, many others. On top of that, before the 2012 election, you had Tea Party groups trying to get tax-exempt status, and they were being denied. That's criminal activity. Now, it's very, very difficult to get a criminal Democrat actually first tried in the media, as they do Republicans, which leads to a popular sentiment pushing toward an actual trial in a court of law. So Democrats generally get away with the crap they pull, as Bill Clinton did most of what he pulled. For instance, obtaining illegally 900 FBI files on his enemies. Stuff that leaves Richard Nixon looking like a Boy Scout by comparison to either of the last 2 Democrat presidents. Barack Obama is also a traitor. How is he a traitor? Traitor means aiding and abetting the enemy. Our enemy, by their declaration, is Islam. The religion of Islam started in, when was it? 632 AD by Muhammad, and after that went into first Israel, other places in the Middle East, then Europe. Now he's in Indonesia. Not him, but Islam. Muslims are taking over, fighting battles, killing people in Africa, in India. They've been for the last 100 years. In Indonesia, you've got terrorists in Russia even. Worldwide, their books, they've got two of them. They've got the Quran. Most people don't know about the Hadiths, but the Hadiths are very important also. Muslims are instructed to take over the world and to lie in order to convince people that they're safe. That's part of the book. It is in there that Muslims are instructed to lie. So they take over either by violence or by immigration, as much as they can get done, which is another reason Barack Obama is a traitor, inviting about 500,000 Muslims a year into the country. Am I against the religion of Muslim? I don't care what religion somebody has if you have it over in your own country. Why can't it be in this country? Because your religion says the Constitution is wrong. This country is run by the United States Constitution, so you cannot be here in this country if you will vote against our founding documents. And your desire is for Sharia law. So can they change? Muslims don't change that often. They are, in fact, often killed for being apostate, venturing away from the religion of Islam. If you go with polling, a majority of the Muslims in America say that they would overturn the Constitution and vote for Sharia law. Sharia law means a combination of their religion and law, which means their religion is enforced by law, which is a fairly strict religion, and a rather dorky one at that. It's based on, they won't say it, but it's based on Nimrod and the Babylonian moon god from about 2000 BC. Not only that, but a significant number, I think it was 25% of Muslims, when polled in the United States, said that they support suicide bombing, murder by suicide in the United States. Muslims in the United States. If you're supporting those people and you're overthrowing the government of Egypt and overthrowing the government of Libya, getting the presidents, the leaders there killed, thanks to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and all Democrats and our media, to put Muslims in power who have declared war against us and the world, then you're a traitor. That's a pretty simple one. Although, I mean, it's not so simple that everybody understands it, because you've got to reach people. If you're living in an age of deceit, and we definitely are, then it's tough to get truth out to people. Because I don't have a 50 million audience a day like the major media do. So it's amazing what can get done if you can reach the people and lie to them. Let's go on. Number 3. Barack Obama has already appointed 2 liars to the Supreme Court. Lena Kagan and Sandra Sotomayor. Why are they liars? Because they took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. Since sitting on the bench, their rulings have not upheld the Constitution. Their rulings have upheld the moral framework of atheist neo-Marxism. Like the other Supreme Court justices, for instance, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, appointed by Bill Clinton. So if you violate your oath of office in taking the seat, the nomination, the confirmation, then you're a liar. Barack Obama's already appointed 2 liars. There should be no reason any sensible person on the planet. Geesh, man, this is the United States of America, and we have been conquered because of liars and their demonic worker bees in the Democratic Party. They've destroyed us through the Supreme Court, through the media, through the schools, and through laws, and through lulling the people into just, having happy, fun, laughing lives, instead of realizing that you're being conquered, that your children are being lied to in government schools, which I call deceit factories, about a host of topics. I'll just list the top three. The history of slavery, which is completely distorted. White people in America were slaves. Black people in America owned slaves. Republicans died setting slaves free. None of that is known. None of that is taught today. Setting them free from Democrats, by the way. Democrats founded the Klan. What else do they lie about? They lie about the psychology of sexuality. And the third main one, well, we could add Islam in there too, which is lied about. But the what I would call the third main one is evolution, which is dog shit. It is. I've studied it a lot over the last few years, and it turns out that evolution is not just bad science. Evolution is non-science. It can't be called science because science itself can be used to destroy evolution. And therefore, that makes the theory of evolution a religion because it teaches where man came from. And that's the idea. The origins of life takes on the arena of a religion, especially if there's no science backing it up. And there is no science backing up evolution. Not just evolution proper, but the Big Bang and the spontaneous generation of life from matter, which is impossible to have gotten here in the first place. You can't have matter from nothing, and you can't have life from non-living matter. Scientifically impossible. It's being taught in the schools. Let's move on. Number 4. Because the anti-God, neo-communist left is using the Supreme Court to conquer America. Now, as I said, I believe that America's already been conquered, but there's still some scraps, some crumbs to fight over, like, how much you have to pay to drive on the streets, and how much you have to pay to lease the home that you think you own from the government, because you don't own it. You don't pay them every year. I'm not talking about the mortgage. I'm talking years after you paid off your mortgage, you've still got to cut the Democrats a check every year, or they'll come take that house away from you. And that means that you don't own it. They own it, and they've worked out this clever little piece of paper called a title that is, in actuality, in any legal common sense definition, a lease from the government. There's very little left here, but we're fighting over table scraps. You do not want to give the left another Supreme Court justice, because Antonin Scalia was one of the rare conservatives on the Supreme Court. We were already losing decisions 5-4, and some winning 5-4. If Barack Obama gets a moderate, what he calls a moderate, on the Supreme Court, then it's for certain 6-3, and there will be nothing left. You cannot let them. They use the Supreme Court to conquer freedom. Number 5. The professional liars in what I call the atheist elite media. I call them atheists because they either don't believe in God or they outright have contempt for God. So atheist is a fair term. And they're professional liars. They're professional because they get paid. And they're liars because they lie all day long. It's how we get Democrats elected. It's how we get a bunch of liberal phonies in the Republican Party, because whenever a real man, or let's say a woman, stands up to fight for freedom, to fight for truth, these liars in the media pound on that person daily until even Republican voters turn against the candidate, because they're that convincing. So they're already pounding on Republicans, starting this morning, to get this guy, what's his name? Merrick Garland. Now let's just listen. This is Pam Coulter of CBS News at around, I think, 7 this morning. All right, listen to what this woman has to say.
Court. The 63-year-old Garland, respected by both liberals and conservatives.
Respected by both liberals and conservatives. I just had to go to one website, not a conspiracy kook website, but the Drudge Report, which gets around 30 million visitors a day, including most of the mainstream media, Democrats and Republicans too. All I had to go was to one website to find a critical opinion about Garland, and that's his liberal views on private gun ownership. So he's not, let's hear what she says again.
Is his choice to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court. The 63-year-old Garland, respected by both liberals and conservatives.
Wrong. respected by both liberals and, if you're going to be honest, Miss Coulter, CBS News, radio, that goes out to all 50 states every hour, 24 times a day, then you have to say liberals and Republicans. Not respected by conservatives. That's an outright lie. But more importantly, and what you'll figure out by the end of this, you have to trust me for it, because I'm not going to play the whole every second of it, is that they will not allow an opposing voice to this nominee on their report, their 3-minute report, and they won't allow it tonight. Shifting to Stephen Portnoy now, still CBS, hourly update, national news.
Senate Republicans insist they'll remain steadfast in their refusal to hold hearings.
See, now there's like code language there in their refusal. It's as if they're just trying to be obstructionists. I think he's even going to say obstructionists in this clip. As if there's no reason to oppose this person, so they're just like being partisan. But he's using those words. You get those words in there and you trick the liberal airheads. 57 million of which voted to put a thieving, neo-communist, God-mocking, and even racist, Barack Obama is a racist, by his own words, liar, into the presidency. These code words work on them.
To give voters the chance to weigh in.
To give voters the chance to weigh in. You see that? It's like they're taking it away from voters.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell reportedly told a group of House Republicans last month an Obama nominee wouldn't have a snowball's chance in hell.
Obama nominee wouldn't have a snowball's chance in hell. As if there was no thought going into this. Now, Mitch McConnell is a liberal phony, so it's weird that he would be stupid enough to say that. Like I said, it's not in his heart to oppose a liberal nominee. So we shouldn't get caught saying things like that. But even if a Democrat says crap like that when they're not going to give a Republican nominee a snowball's chance in hell, that's never going to get on the news. So it's important to distinguish this from two different levels. One, that McConnell's kind of a stupid guy. So is Paul Ryan, and so was John Boehner before he left, Speaker of the House. And two is that even when you've got stupid Democrats, that doesn't make the news.
Democrats say that level of obstructionism in the Senate...
There it is, obstructionism. Now listen to this. This is important.
...is unprecedented.
Unprecedented. That level of obstructionism, Democrats say, is unprecedented. Bullshit. You're not going to get this guy, Stephen Portnoy of CBS, to go back in history, not very far back, to G.W. Bush and the massive obstructionism over his appointees, not just to the Supreme Court, but to courts of appeals and other courts. So this fellow, Democrats are lying like they do, and this fellow for CBS is lying as well.
To most Americans, Merrick Garland is a new name, but legal scholar Jonathan Turley says his reputation's outstanding.
His reputation is outstanding, legal scholar Jonathan Turley says. We're still waiting for a critical voice here.
Merrick Garland is the ultimate moderate.
The ultimate moderate. This is how they lie, folks. This is how it happens. It's insane to watch it. Once you learn the language of the propaganda merchants. All right, let me just review the 5. Okay, number 1, because the Republicans are cowards and liberal phonies, which is why they should automatically reject a Obama nominee to the Supreme Court, because they don't have it in their hearts to understand why. The proper reason for opposing him and the proper method to oppose him by telling the truth. What's the truth? Number 2, that Barack Obama is a shameless liar and a criminal due to the IRS and other reasons, a traitor, and he's trying to destroy America. That's the reason, but you won't get anybody in the GOP to say that. Number 3, he's already appointed 2 liars who violated their oaths of office to the Supreme Court. Number 4, because the left is using the Supreme Court to destroy what's left of America, which isn't very dang much. Number 5, because the professional liars in the elite media will never tell the American people who's being appointed and the seriousness, the gravity of what's going on in this decision and the 2 decisions when Obama already appointed 2 people. There's your 5 reasons. And I'm only doing this because I don't know who else is going to. Who else is going to say what the Republicans, who are ostensibly leaders of the conservatives in the country, should be saying, which they will not say. And therefore, here I am, making noise in front of a camera to do their job. And I guess, you know, to an extent, all of our jobs, because this is a country where the citizenry is supposed to pitch in and help guide the nation, caretake it, make sure it's being done right. We've all known for a long time that it hasn't been done right. Therefore, the time has come that ordinary people, and I'm not the only one doing it, need to stand up. So here I am, pitching in with these wimpy little efforts of mine to try and do what our representatives are refusing to do. That's it. Top 5 reasons why the liberal Republican cowards should reject any Barack Obama Supreme Court nominee and shouldn't even give him a hearing.